Hello everyone, welcome back to Luminosity. In this episode of our basic series, we'll be taking a closer look at LOONA 1/3 and Yeojin. So, let's dive into the Loonaverse. The story of LOONA opens with the introduction of 5 seemingly normal girls. Together, they unveil LOONA's unique world. Heejin, Hyunjin, Hasul, and Vivi form the first subunit, LOONA 1/3. As explained in episode 1, although Yeojin exists as a solo unit, she also represents the slash in LOONA 1/3, and so she will be included in this episode. While the Loonaverse is primarily told through music videos, the storyline of each video is not always easy to grasp. That's why in this series, we aim to make LOONA's narrative clearer by summarizing the key points of each music video and highlighting relevant information from official sources. This video will cover the first 5 solo albums, LOONA 1/3's pre-debut releases, and finally, the concept of the subunit and its relevance to the Loonaverse. Let's begin with LOONA's first member, Heejin. Her representative color is hot pink, and her animal is a rabbit. Heejin's debut single, Vivid, tells the story of meeting a person to love in a repetitive and colorless routine, and only then finding a vivid color within oneself.
비비드라는 곡은 사랑하는 사람을 만나서 컬러풀한 비비드색으로 변하는 일상을 재밌고 신비롭게 표현한 곡이에요.
The music video starts off in black and white before suddenly switching to color the moment Heejin opens her eyes. In an interview with Mnet, Heejin explained that she acted out 2 roles. Directly after the opening sequence, a Heejin dressed in black instructs another Heejin to clean. The on-screen subtitles, written in French and Korean, translate to, "Please clean up while I'm away. The cleaning equipment is over there." As requested, Heejin first begins cleaning the red room with a feather duster, only to toss it aside a moment later. While lying on the couch, a white rabbit catches her attention, and we next see 7 rabbits resting on the floor. In the meantime, we see shots of a blue painting filled with white rabbits, yet each time, their number decreases from 15 to 1 to 0. This painting actually hangs in the yellow room. In the opening sequence, it was filled with 15 rabbits, but when Heejin enters, it is empty. And instead, 7 rabbits are seen on the floor next to her. Later, she peeks through the larger doorway on the left, watching a rabbit hop into the red room through the smaller doorway. Back in the red room, Heejin hits a yellow golf ball down the hallway. It arrives in a brightly lit room where many other golf balls have piled up. Heejin revealed in an interview that this place is actually also the bathroom, where colorful cleaning items are suspended in the air. She stated that this room might be found in a fairy tale and is reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland, a novel about a young girl who follows a white rabbit and falls into a fantasy world. When Heejin crosses into the blue room, she discovers closets filled with colorful clothes and settles on a new outfit. Unexpectedly, the furniture and walls in the room begin to melt. At the song's final chorus, vivid colors start to envelop every scene, melding together to give the appearance of a painting. When the song reaches its end, the painting abruptly fades away, and we are left with a completely new scene. Heejin in the midst of cleaning, staring at the front door. Her outfit matches the one she wore in the bathroom, and she holds the broom first seen at the start of the music video. Now that we've covered the key plot points of the music video, let's review how it connects to the core concept of Vivid described earlier. We are told that Vivid portrays a boring daily life like a black and white world, which is suddenly filled with color upon meeting a loved one. Similarly, while the music video's opening sequence is black and white, striking colors eventually engulf every room of the house towards the end of the song. This emphasis on color is evident in the song's title, its lyrics, and the vibrant house that Heejin explores throughout the video. Many of Heejin's outfits match her colorful surroundings. a rainbow shines across her face, and in the bathtub are sequins that shine and sparkle in the light. Beyond the concept of colors, the repetitive nature of living in a colorless routine is reflected in Vivid's lyrics and the music video's several recurring scenes. Despite their unchanging setting, many of these shots go through surprising changes as the video progresses, appearing slightly different each time. This theme is also present at the vanity table where Heejin sits. Even though all three of her reflections look the same, each one moves independently from the rest. Vivid's key concepts of repetitiveness and color come full circle through its final 3 shots. We first see the 2 Heejins from the beginning of the music video, who have been presented in a contrasting manner throughout. The Heejin in black, who was first seen in complete monochrome, is now in color. Meanwhile, the Heejin in yellow, who has always been seen in color, is last shown surrounded by the colors of a vivid painting. And when these intense colors fade away, we are once again left with something that is familiar, yet different. The second member to debut was Hyunjin, who is represented by the color yellow and the cat. Her title track, Around You, paints the emotions of a beautiful crush that an adolescent girl might have, or alternatively, Hyunjin's sorrowful longing of first love. It has 3 music videos, with the original film version being released first. Having been filmed in Tokyo, it is reminiscent of a Japanese romance film. The official music video followed a few days later and essentially condenses the original story into a shorter 4-minute format. The Umana special version features footage from the web drama known by the same name, which the first 8 members of LOONA starred in. In this episode, we will be covering the original film version as it portrays a more comprehensive view of Around You's story. After a short introduction, Hyunjin is seen writing at a desk while Around You plays quietly in the background. As she sings along, multiple shots are shown in what appears to be the perspective of a small animal. The letter Hyunjin wrote was later posted online, confirming that her direction for this scene was to write a letter to someone she loves. A sudden crash catches Hyunjin's attention, and she discovers a vase that has been knocked over. During her search for the culprit, Hyunjin spots a bracelet outside the front door and smiles. The music fades out and the final line of the chorus appears on screen. I just leave again without a word. This line also features the song's Korean title, which means to visit and then leave the place you visited, emphasizing the concept of a temporary visitor. We next see Hyunjin leave the house in a different outfit. Along her journey, she stops and turns to peer down an alleyway. The camera switches back to the lower perspective from earlier, watching as Hyunjin slowly approaches and offers a stack of letters. It was later confirmed on Fact in Star that these shots are from the viewpoint of a cat.
뮤직비디오 촬영을 했을 때 이제 고양이를 이제 부르는 씬이 있었는데 고양이가 없었거든요. 그래서 메소드 연기를 해야 될 상황이었는데 제가 로봇같이 연기를 해버려서.
Hyunjin carries on traveling through the city with her letters in hand, finally arriving at a barbershop. Throughout her visit, Hyunjin glances between the hairdresser and the letters multiple times. Yet she ultimately leaves with them still in hand. As the music video continues, a few scenes from earlier play out once more, except this time, Hyunjin wears a cat head in each one. Finally, Hyunjin turns to smile at the camera, accompanied by 7 more Hyunjins wearing cat heads. Around You highlights Hyunjin's link to her representative animal in various ways. From the many cats she interacts with, to the decorations inside the house. During the closing credits, Hyunjin sings along to Around You atop a roof whilst holding her letters. In the post-credits clip, Hyunjin takes a seat on a bench next to Heejin, who stares at her in confusion. Interestingly enough, the music video's director later uploaded a photo depicting the same scene, except in that version, Hyunjin's cat head is missing. Haseul is the third member of LOONA. Her color is green, and her animal is a white bird. She was revealed through several teaser images portraying two different concepts. During the day, teasers featuring a long-haired brunette were released, followed by images of a short-haired blonde tomboy at night. Both concepts indicate how both boyish and girlish traits coexist within Haseul, which she referenced on LOONA TV.
안녕하세요. 소녀하슬입니다. 소년하슬입니다.
Her debut album's title track, Let Me In, also highlights this through its Korean title, Boy, Girl, lyrics, and music video. Haseul's album photo book was shot in Iceland and London. These places were described as having opposite charms, similar to the two different concepts presented in her photos. The music video for Let Me In, also filmed in Iceland, begins with Haseul being driven across a snowy landscape. The yellow truck has no driver and is decorated with a dream catcher and pictures of birds and planes. The car door opens on its own, and Haseul leaves to follow a trail of diamonds, collecting them until she eventually approaches a crashed airplane. As Haseul peers through one of the windows, she makes eye contact with the blonde short-haired boy from her teaser images. Here he is dressed as a white bird, Haseul's representative animal, and is said to be hiding a secret. This version of Haseul is a reference to The Little Prince as mentioned on LOONA TV.
어린 왕자 컨셉이.
The Little Prince is a French book narrated from the perspective of a pilot who finds himself stranded in the Saharan desert after a plane crash. He is greeted by the Little Prince, a young blonde boy who comes from another planet, and the two quickly become friends. At the end, the prince makes a deal with a yellow snake, who promises its bite will let him return home. At first, the pilot believes the bite killed the prince, but is comforted when he fails to find his body the next morning. The pilot eventually repairs his plane and flies away, ultimately leaving the little prince's fate ambiguous. Aside from the Little Prince acting as a visual motif throughout the music video, Let Me In also presents a lot of recurring imagery, including airplanes, paper planes, birds, white feathers, and diamonds. In the music video's final scene, Haseul spots her blonde self again and rushes to confront him, dropping a few diamonds in the process. This scene, along with a few others, was filmed at Iceland's Diamond Beach, known for its icebergs that sparkle like diamonds in the rough. Grasping one of the diamonds she collected, Haseul takes aim with a slingshot and we hear the words, The diamond strikes her target down and she runs to where he was standing. As the song reaches its end, Haseul is left alone on the cold beach, holding a lifeless white bird. The fourth member, Yeojin, is represented by the color orange and a frog. Her solo song, Kiss Later, opens with Yeojin lying asleep in a princess's bedroom. Upon waking, she is greeted by three princes bearing gifts. As one helps Yeojin put on a pair of heels, they are suddenly interrupted by a mysterious ballet dancer holding the other gifts. A frog. Startled, Yeojin wakes up again, revealing the previous sequence to be a dream. As opposed to the extravagant bedroom from before, her surroundings are now illustrated in a more cartoonish style, and the three princes are simply pictures on the walls. The frog, however, returns to offer Yeojin the same bouquet from her dream, but she is so shocked by the sight that she faints. In a Naver article, Yeojin referred to the frog as both the Frog Prince and her real boyfriend. The Frog Prince is a reference to the popular fairy tale of the same title, which is used as a motif throughout the music video. Within the fairy tale, a princess meets and reluctantly befriends a frog. At the end of the story, he magically transforms into a handsome prince, confessing that he had been cursed by a witch. In modern renditions of the tale, the princess breaks the spell by kissing the frog, and they get married. In Kiss Later, while Yeojin initially dreams of sleeping in a princess's bedroom, she eventually puts on a pretty dress and crown and describes herself as Princess Yeojin. The music video depicts the Frog Prince approaching Yeojin in various ways and offering her different gifts. Yet she is evidently shocked by his presence each time. Even though Yeojin is seen enjoying her time with him sometimes, she decides to run away when they're about to kiss. This matches not only the lyrics and the title of the song, but also its core concept. We're still young, so let's study hard and get into college before kissing.
키스는 다음에 어떤 곡인지 설명 좀 해주세요.
네, 저의 소중한 키스는 다음에라는 곡은요. 아직 나이가 너무 어리니까 공부 열심히 해서 대학교 가서 만나자. 귀여운 노래입니다.
두근두근한 설렘을 담은 노래군요.
맞아요.
Yeojin and the frog are last seen in the bathroom together, where she puts on lipstick and tries to kiss him once more. While it's hard to tell from the music video if she succeeds, it was confirmed through a Luna X study group quiz that the pair ultimately did not kiss. At the end of Yeojin's album promotional text, BBC stated that surprising content the fans will not expect would be revealed the following month. As promised, a new concept was introduced through a multitude of teasers over the course of February. On the first of the month, it was announced that something called Luna 1/3 would be coming soon. After 5 days had passed, a teaser video titled New Project was uploaded. Its social media caption clarified that Luna 1/3 would be Luna's first subunit, whilst the video disclosed how the members would be selected. 3 would be chosen from the 4 currently revealed girls, and 1 would be completely new. Altogether, the subunit would have 4 members, hence Luna 1/3 would be 1/3 of Luna. 4 girls out of 12.
네, 저희 이달의 소녀 3분의 1은 완전체 12명 중에 3분의 1, 저희 4명을 뜻하는데요.
6 days later, a second teaser encouraged fans to guess who had been chosen to participate in the subunit by presenting each of their physical attributes, skills, and personal preferences. The first 3 girls' characteristics were shown, allowing fans to confirm their identities as Heejin, Hyunjin, and Hassel. In contrast, the 4th girl's characteristics were left as a question mark. Curiously enough, each attribute was labeled in 6 different languages: Korean, French, Japanese, Icelandic, English, and Chinese. The next day, the mysterious new member of Luna 1/3 was finally revealed: Vivi, a girl from Hong Kong and the only foreign member of the group. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, a short preview of a song called Valentine Girl was released as a gift to fans. Its Korean title, Wait for March, links not only to the month of Luna 1/3's debut, but also to the song's story. Gifting chocolate to a boy on Valentine's Day, and then hoping to hear a confession from him on March's White Day. Love and Live is Luna 1/3's debut mini-album, where they sing about the excitement and expectations of first love. As the Valentine Girl preview indicated, the album expresses the girls' youthful love in the boundaries of contemporary K-pop girl group music. The title track is also called Love and Live, but its Korean title translates to Now I Like You. It illustrates a girl who runs in order to meet you and how she openly expresses affection.
네, 저희 지금 좋아해는요. 아까 말씀드린 것처럼 짝사랑하는 소녀의 마음을 표현한 지금 보고 싶어, 지금 당장 너를 만나러 가고 싶어 하고 표현하는 그런 곡입니다.
3분의 1의 정체성이 아주 잘 표현된 노래라고 볼 수 있는 거죠.
네.
네, 그리고
As hinted at in Luna 1/3's second subunit teaser, the music video has an athlete concept with Heejin, Hyunjin, Hasul, and Vivi playing the part of a track team. It was filmed in New Zealand and Hong Kong and marks Vivi's first appearance in a music video, since she was first revealed through a subunit rather than a solo album. Vivi is shown to be separated from the other 3 members on multiple occasions. This can also be seen in the You and Me Together music video, which contains unreleased scenes and bloopers from Love and Live. It quickly becomes apparent that Vivi is different from the rest of her subunit. When Luna 1/3 run a relay race in debut order, Heejin, Hyunjin, and Hustle are left breathless and tired, while Vivi remains expressionless and stares blankly into the camera. BBC clarified this unusual behavior by explaining that Vivi is actually an android from Hong Kong. Due to her robotic nature, she uses a battery backpack to charge herself, as described on Idol Radio.
충전을 하세요?
배터리요.
네? 배터리가 있으시고. 배터리 등에 있어요?
네, 여기 있어요.
The other members seem to be aware of this. Heejin finds Vivi resting as she charges in a classroom, and in a scene featured in You and Me Together, Hyunjin reconnects Vivi's battery to a wall while she sleeps. Vivi also demonstrates robotic behavior by having a perfectly consistent running time of 12.94 seconds. Additionally, she's capable of shooting basketballs from afar with ease, and she does not drink her juice boxes, leaving them in her locker instead. At the song's bridge, Vivi sees her backpack in the hallway and decides to unplug everything. The word disconnected appears on the backpack, followed by a 5-minute countdown. As she begins running, Luna 1/3 are seen doing a relay race once again. This time, however, Vivi decides to run off the track, making her way through a green field with a fence and forest in the distance, and then eventually running on the road in the suburbs. This is reminiscent of the start of the music video, where we hear a girl running through suburbs, a meadow, and finally a running track. When the backpack's timer finally reaches 0, the words low battery appear and Vivi's left eye glows sharply. As the screen flickers out, her eye turns back to normal and she finally stops running. She is left breathing heavily in the middle of the road, appearing just as tired as the other girls were in the beginning. The music video ends here, but further details about Vivi's lore were revealed afterwards. Vivi herself stated that she became human at the end of Love and Live on Idol Radio.
충전 좀 필요하고 그리고 지금 좋아할 때 끝나고 나서 드디어 사람 돼가지고 그래서 이렇게 3분의 1 됐어요.
The director behind the majority of Luna's music videos, Moon So-ko, disclosed more in an Instagram post titled Vivi Story. He first explained that Love and Live's music video is about the android Vivi searching for her identity and love. Seeing the other girls who run out of breath after running, she thinks, why do I not get tired? Why doesn't my heart beat faster? I want my heart to pound too. Vivi, who runs and runs until her heart starts pounding, ultimately stops in the middle of an unfamiliar new road. Lastly, Moon So-ko simply wrote, not the 4th, but the 5th. Bleached hair, shining left eye, running through the meadows. Vivi, the 5th member, is represented by pastel pink and a deer. Her solo album was the next to be released, and its photo book was shot in Busan, South Korea. Her debut title track, Every Day I Love You, reinterprets the 90s style in a modern way. The music video has a 90s concept to match, recreating the aesthetic through a 4:3 aspect ratio and items like roller skates, Walkmans, and Coolpix cameras. Fitting with the setting, Vivi works part-time at the front desk of a roller rink. There are 5 cassette tapes on her desk, each belonging to one of the first 5 members. She picks up her own tape, and after she plays it, we see the roller rink for the first time. Vivi is noticeably more expressive compared to the android introduced in Love and Live. This difference was clarified through the second point of the Instagram post mentioned earlier. Moon So-ko stated that the story of Every Day I Love You's music video was created by restoring Vivi's human memories from before she was converted to an android. When there are no customers, Vivi keeps herself occupied in various ways. As she reads a Korean comic named Unplugged Boy, a boy arrives at the desk to ask for a pair of skates. Vivi longingly gazes at him skating around the rink, where he's accompanied by the first 4 members, making a cameo appearance. Vivi decides to take pictures of the boy, keeping some of them in her diary and even uploading one online. As she continues reading Unplugged Boy, she stops on a page where the male lead mentions he dances to hip-hop when he's sad. This line is referenced in Vivi's album promotional text, where the boy from earlier is also said to do the same thing. As the song reaches its climax, Vivi and the boy are seen skating together, smiling and holding hands. These scenes on the rink are more harshly filtered than before, and the first 4 girls are no longer seen skating with them. Button pins are briefly seen on Vivi's desk and bag, depicting her and the boy sitting closely together. The song comes to an end, and suddenly, we return to Vivi at her desk. She turns off the lights and picks up her backpack, but the button pins seen earlier are not there. The screen of the phone she left behind lights up with a message: "I'll come back tomorrow." As mentioned in episode 1, BBC stated that Luna 1/3 are meant to portray the most realistic and practical sceneries of life. Although this description doesn't quite match with what we've covered so far, we do get a glimpse at a more realistic angle of the girls through their B-side music videos. These were filmed all over the world, linking to how Heejin, Hyunjin, Hasul, Yeojin, and Vivi are located on planet Earth.
네, 3분의 1은 이제 지상계에 속해 있다면
여진이는 3분의 1 지상계에 속합니다.
Let's start with Heejin's B-side, Vivid, Acoustic Mix. The music video depicts Heejin's real-life experience in Paris, interspersed with short behind-the-scenes segments from her album photo shoot. Hyunjin's B-side, I'll Be There, shows Heejin and Hyunjin spending the late evening together in Harajuku, Tokyo, through what appears to be photos and VHS-style video recordings. Their dance scenes take place on a rooftop and in front of the house previously seen in Around You. The third B-side, The Carol, portrays the first 3 members enjoying the Christmas season in London. Heejin finds Hyunjin at the first meeting place, and the 2 of them go to greet Hasul together. As the girls gather, their increasing number is referenced in various ways. The girls shop for presents during the day and spend the night together celebrating the holiday and opening gifts. My Sunday and My Melody from Yeojin's solo album present the first 4 members touring around Taiwan in pairs. Heejin and Hyunjin capture their time together by taking photos, whilst Hasul and Yeojin record videos with a camcorder. In Every Day I Need You, Vivi wanders the streets of Hong Kong until night falls. Unlike her emotionless android self in Love and Live, here we meet a Vivi brimming with joy as she explores different parts of the city, including a fountain where some shots are played in reverse. Throughout the rap break, shots of Jinsol and her surroundings are visible both in color and monochrome. This was Jinsol's first appearance to fans before her debut as the 7th member. The music video closes off at a park, with Vivi meeting her representative animal, a deer. These B-sides not only showcase the natural lives of the girls, but also some of their representative countries.
그리고 일단 3분의 1은 상징하는 나라가 있고요.
나라.
저희 3분의 1 유닛이 일단은 상징 나라가 이제 그 나라에 가서 개인 뮤직비디오를 찍어서 그
네.
나라가 상징 나라인 거거든요. 저 같은 경우에는 프랑스에 가서 뮤직비디오를 찍고 왔습니다.
네, 상징한 나라는 프랑스.
네.
네.
하슬입니다.
하슬.
네, 3분의 1은 이제 올로케이션으로 저희가 뮤직비디오와 자켓 촬영을 하고 왔는데요. 희진이는 프랑스, 현진이 일본, 저는 아이슬란드과 영국, 그리고 3분의 1은 이제 뉴질랜드와 홍콩에서 모두 올로케이션으로 진행을 하면서 이제 3분의 1은 네, 그런 나라가 있습니다.
Based on the criteria that the members shot their solo music videos and album jackets at their representative locations, Heejin is associated with Paris, France, Hyunjin with Tokyo, Japan, Hasul with Iceland, as well as London, England, Yeojin with Taipei, Taiwan, and Vivi with Hong Kong, as well as Busan, South Korea. Luna 1/3 having representative countries was hinted at in their first 2 teaser videos, which reference where the first 4 members shot their album jackets. BBC highlighted the relevance of their countries by telling us that Heejin, Hyunjin, Haseul, and Vivi start their stories in France, Japan, Iceland, and Hong Kong respectively. The girls eventually combine while traveling around the world to become unified as one. Along the way, the team forms family-like relationships with one another. The first member, Heejin, starts off by meeting Hyunjin. Their close friendship expands to include Haseul, who is like a mother to the team as the subunit's leader. Together, they form a group of 3. Yeojin joins on as their youngest sister, adding on a slash. And when Vivi is introduced as the one, Luna 1/3 is finally complete. A month after their debut, Luna 1/3 returned with Love and Evil, a repackage of their mini-album Love and Live. The albums were described to have opposite characteristics, with one being labeled as the inverted version of the other. This difference is emphasized in how Love and Evil portrays the pain of one's first breakup, contrasting Love and Live, which was filled with the emotions of one's first crush. BBC furthered this idea by explaining that the Live in the original title was purposefully reversed to spell the more ominous Evil. Despite the darker concept, the album's photo book was shot in Prague, which was described by Haseul as the city of love, a happy place where laughter never ends. Coincidentally, BBC asked in the album's description, is love something sweet, or is it something cruel? It might be a question too difficult for young girls to answer yet. The album featured 3 new tracks, Love and Evil, Sonatine, and Rain 51 Decibels. The intro song Love and Evil acts as the album's theme, materializing a girl who is lost alone in a dark forest. With the piano played in accelerando, the girl runs away deeper into the forest. 4 girls then gather in the space of unknowable secrets to cast an arcane spell of love. Sonatine, the album's title track, is about the love of a confused adolescent girl. Haseul described it as a mysterious-sounding song, fitting with its Korean title, An Unknown Secret. The music video contains various feelings of mystery and confusion, depicting Luna 1/3 singing and dancing on the rooftops of Hong Kong late in the day. In their solo shots, Heejin, Hyunjin, and Haseul are seen on roofs or balconies, while Vivi is seen on the streets and even sitting inside a car. When compared to Luna 1/3's previous title track, it is clear that both are vastly different in terms of musical style, lyrics, and music video. Love and Live was a typical K-pop girl group song that expressed lovely emotions, excitement, and heart-racing feelings. In comparison, Sonatine mesmerizes the audience with unexpected mystical melodies and takes the love the girls have encountered away into adolescence. Their music videos were filmed at day and night respectively, and the colorful school outfits have been replaced with delicate white dresses. Once Sonatine reached 300,000 views on YouTube, the music video for Rain 51 Decibels was released as a reward. Decibels are a unit used to measure the intensity of a sound, hence both the English and Korean titles reference the volume of moderate rainfall. BBC stated that the song gathers the pure and clean voices of Luna to declare, the song itself is an homage to the first generation of K-pop girl groups and is based on the concept of, what if Luna was created in the 90s? To reflect this, the music video is framed as being played from a worn-out VHS tape, a storage medium for video that was commonly used in the 90s. The tape begins with a few seconds of blank, as it was common in pre-recorded tapes, followed by fragments of scenes from previous music videos. The tape then continues into a typical 90s style karaoke video for Rain 51 decibels, complete with a 4:3 aspect ratio, opening credits sequence, and lyrics. Easter eggs like a news article on the album and a top 10 chart of Luna's music videos are also included. Luna 1/3 are only seen in 2 places throughout the karaoke video. One is a dark place surrounded by greenery, just outside a building. The other is inside a brightly lit room where the girls are gathered around the couch with a large teddy bear in the center. However, this is not the first time bears have made an appearance in the Lunaverse. Since her introduction as the 4th member, Yeojin has been seen alongside bears. Her teaser photos, teaser captions, and album photo book all feature the animal in some shape or form. And this trend continued in My Melody, where she holds a teddy bear and wears bear-shaped pins on her jacket. But why a bear and not a frog, her representative animal? 3 hours before Kiss Later's release, a photo of Yeojin holding a Frog Prince puppet was uploaded. In the caption, Yeojin explained that she had tried to pretend she was a teddy bear, but the truth is that she was actually a frog. She then requested fans to release her from her magic spell, reminiscent of the fairy tale, The Frog Prince. Interestingly enough, a fan event was later held with Yeojin's precious item as the prize, and the reward turned out to be yet another teddy bear. At the end of Love and Evil's album description, BBC revisited the image of being lost in a dark forest. The girls who just got lost in the forest have gathered here. Can they save Yeojin? Each of Luna's subunits revolve around their own unique concept. This is closely linked to their image in the K-pop scene, as well as in the Lunaverse. Now that we've covered the music videos and albums released by Luna 1/3, let's take a look at how BBC ties it all together and connects it to the lore. Luna 1/3's music illustrates cliché images of young girls, expressing the freshness of first love through stories of innocence and excitement.
네, 이달의 소녀 3분의 1은요 희진, 현진, 하슬, 비비로 이루어진 이달의 소녀의 첫 번째 유닛인데요. 아직 짝사랑을 하고 있고 좀 더 샤이한 마음을 담고 있는 그런 유닛의 그룹입니다.
네, 그리고 어떤 유닛인가요? 3분의
네,
1.
저희 이달의 소녀 3분의 1은요 이제 저희가 첫 번째 나온 유닛으로 이제 스타트를 끊었는데요. 이제 지금 좋아해라는
네.
곡으로 저희의 좀 청순함과 이렇게 짝사랑하는 소녀의 마음을 표현하는 그런 유닛이었습니다.
아, 청순함과 짝사랑하는 소녀의 마음.
네.
3분의 1. 네. 아.
Through their first 2 albums, Luna 1/3 sang about the thrill of first love and the sorrow of heartbreak. In line with this, BBC posed 2 questions in Love and Evil's album description. Is love something sweet, or is it something cruel? Is the story of love that the 1/3 girls tell love and live, or love and evil? BBC later established that Luna 1/3 released Love and Live and Love and Evil to talk about the coexistence of sweetness and cruelty in first love. And it is through these 2 albums that Luna 1/3 explained the world of Luna for the first time. BBC pointed out that both albums were the first real steps towards the Lunaverse, the alternate universe Luna lives in. The story of Luna started with its first girl, Heejin. Then Hyunjin, a close friend and a schoolmate of Heejin, joined Luna. Hasul, who always seemed to cause rain wherever she goes, and the youngest member, Yeojin, who hops around everywhere like a noisy frog, joined along. As they ran across the starting point called Luna 1/3 with the appearance of Vivi, the android from Hong Kong, and passed through the endless forest of Love and Live and Love and Evil, Luna's universe kept on expanding. An endless forest? Materializing a girl who is lost alone in a dark forest. With the piano played in accelerando, the girl runs away deeper into the forest. The girls who just got lost in the forest have gathered here. Can they save Yeojin? In the aforementioned quote, The official English translation mentions the Endless Forest. However, the Korean text refers to it by a different name, the Mobius Forest. This marks the first time that BBC officially alluded to the Mobius strip, a concept that future releases will revisit. We've wrapped up the first chapter of LOONA's pre-debut project, but there are many things still shrouded in mystery within LOONA's story. Among them, several questions remain unsolved. Will Yeojin find her way towards the other members without wandering off somewhere else? What is the unknown secret that LOONA 1/3 sing about in Sonatine? We'll soon discover that some things can only be explained by looking into details yet to be uncovered. After all, the LOONAverse has just begun. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has provided a clearer picture of the official lore behind the first 5 members. Our references are included in the description box below. If you have any questions about the video, please feel free to leave a comment. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll be covering LOONA, Odd Eye Circle.